if there are any questions, it would be very interesting to have some questions from the participants. Yeah, thank you, all of you.
Sir, thank you. We have some questions from YouTube users.
Yeah.
So we have Ganesh Nagapan. He says,
Mhm.
how do we make students from rural parts of country to cope with technology by teaching English literature?
Well, this question has popped up many a times nowadays. That rural area and the technology, the network, and other kinds of things. Also, I think in my last webinar, I had participants from Kashmir also. And the very first concern that the participants said that we have 2G connection only. How can we be live, or how can we participate in a live webinar with a 2G connection? So apart from Kashmir, even in throughout India, we have regions where still faster connections and other things are still nearly impossible there. There are always a parallel plans, like people can access an internet for a while. Sometimes when they come into a good zone, they can download the kind of a thing. You see how technology works. For example, when you look at Wikipedia page, Wikipedia also allows us to download PDFs. One thing. Then you go to YouTube. YouTube also allows us to make it offline. All videos can be downloaded and made offline. So what is the mind behind all this thing? What kind of mind is working is that when people will be moving around from a good network to poor network, when they are in good network, they can download, for example, Netflix, if you see, or any of this live streaming platform, they allow you to download. And then later on, without network also, we can watch films or YouTube, or we can download PDFs, and we can do the kinds of things also there. So the people who are in that, they may have to adjust for a while with wherever there is a good network and other kinds of things, they can access those things. I can give an example of the Gujarat example here, that in last 3 years, in Gujarat, all the students are given tablets, mobile tablets, to work on that. The people who are from Gujarat, they will agree with that. Uh, 3 years back, we had an excuse that our students don't have devices. How are they going to work on technology? Well, government gave the devices to everybody, almost free of cost. Now, what are you doing? Still, teachers are not doing anything. Teachers don't have blogs. Teachers don't have website. Teachers don't have YouTube channel. That is the reality, because in yesterday webinar, we did one survey, and we found that more than 80% of the participants were not having blogs or websites or this. Uh, uh, Government also gave Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi in colleges for the students. So devices are given, Wi-Fi is given. But are teachers ready to deal with technology in the classroom? I would say big no. Hardly 20-25% of the teachers. Again, my figures are very high, 20-25%. But still 70 to 80% of the teachers and schools and colleges, I forget about the schools, colleges were not even allowing tablets to enter in the colleges. Principals and teachers say that this is nuisance, this is this. So see, we are very good in giving excuses. So I don't have this, I say that, well, I don't have this, so what should I do? I can give another argument also, is that when imagine we are in 1947, 48, we are just free nation, we don't have enough school buildings, and we want to educate everybody. Will we say that educate everybody or start education only after you have schools where you can give admission to everybody? No, we have not made that choice. We started educating to whatever people we can educate. Uh, there are lakhs of applications that are going for IIM and IITs, and we do an exam and we select few. Will we say that no, if we will be able to give admission to all, then only we will run IIM and IIT? No, we are not going to do that. So why, when it comes to technology in the learning, we say that everybody should have, then only I should have? So it is like, if 70-80%, fine, we can move on, we can start working, we should be future ready. Infrastructure is growing much faster than we imagine. It is going to spread much quicker than we imagine. Before teachers will be ready, the technology will be ready to serve their purpose. So we should be future ready. Even if there are these concerns, we can think on other alternative. Third argument I can give for the same question, because this question keeps on coming time and again. 2 days back, there was a live chat on Facebook by British Council. And there also the same question was there in British Council, where people were debating, and they said that what about the people which are remotely located, network issues and other kinds of things are there. But these are genuine concerns. I don't say that these are not concerned at all. And teachers should care of these concerns also. So in that debate also there was this point, and they say that, well, perhaps 4G we are not able to have everywhere, but we have television networks everywhere. We have radio everywhere. So there is an alternative of radio or television network, which can also be used for remote teaching, remote online teaching, an alternative. So teachers might have to explore whatever other possibilities are there in this dynamics also. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I also have a question.
Yes.
Very humbly, sir. You have talked about a poem written by a machine or created by a machine. Let me use the correct word: created by the machine.
Generated by
the machine, created by the machine, right?
Yes.
So it is kind of a tea maker, right? And poem maker. There will be some poem makers, right? So, sir, what Miss? Will it affect or will it influence the creativity of human being?
What I see, like it is like a futuristic way of looking, is like humans have a machines.
1 second, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Similar question from a YouTube user also. So I put that also so that you can answer both the questions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Question is asked by Kalika Shah. Do you want to imply that machines or robots will overpower the humans?
Overpower will be like a sci-fi kind of a thing. Like if it's a scientific fiction, then perhaps we would imagine that it will overpower the thing. Let me give an example. When we talk about something new coming, and then the fear that we have, whether it will overpower this or that. Let me give this example. That example from media, which again I have given here also. When there were newspapers and suddenly radio came. And the news came on radio. So people thought that now newspaper will die because there is a radio. There is a live news. Who will read? Who will wait for the next day to read a newspaper? Radio will give you live news. Then came television. If you can watch people, why do you listen? The radio will die because there is television where you can see the visuals. Well, today's reality is that newspaper, radio, and television all exist simultaneously. They all have their space together. So nothing will overpower, but they all will assimilate with each other and they will exist simultaneously. We will have literatures written by humans. We will have literatures written by machines also. We will go to ATM and I will press a button and I will say, I want an elegy. I am in a sad mood. I will press a button that give me a sad poem and the poem will come out. The ATM will give me a poem. If I can afford to go to a mushaira, where there are real people sitting, I will go to mushaira. But everybody cannot afford to go to mushairas. Mushairas happen in a big places. It will not happen everywhere. When we are worried about remote places, imagine how many plays are performed in remote places. If I am in Bombay, I can see very recent performances by Girish Karnad or Shabana Azmi performing there in Prithvi Theatre. But if I am in Bhavnagar, if I am in remote locations, the plays never come. If the shooting is not done, if there is no filming of the plays, I would never be able to see any play because they never come to my place, remotely located one. So this is how so this idea that how the way newspaper, radio, television assimilated, the same way we will have a new kind of machines which will give us poems or short stories. And this is nothing like I'm talking.
So we will have Pratik sir, so we will have softwares, right, for poetry and drama. We will have, sir, you can say technician, MTech on poetry, maybe. That can be possibility. Well said, very enlightening. And I think we can now, we can dream about it. Okay, Pratik sir.
Pratik, yes. Very good afternoon, Dilip sir. It is nice to hear you. And actually, it is challenging to ask you, so I am not asking you, sir. I just want your opinion regarding with the literature and technology. Sir, well, I have been teaching literature since 8 years, and you are the most senior, sir. So, sir, I want your opinion that don't you think, sir, that while teaching literature with technology, teacher can fix himself or herself in a frame, because at the time of teaching there are so many ideas which comes in the mind of teacher while teaching literature, especially drama, novel, whatever the genre that we are dealing with the students in the classroom. So while teaching technology, that Wordsworth says that spontaneous overflow, powerful feeling, that's some example which comes in our mind while teaching the same thing. So, sir, do you face the same problem while teaching with the technology or not? Or maybe my question is just an excuse.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
your opinion, sir.
Okay. What I have found is that when I use technology in classroom, my mind is more free to think, and so
Okay.
it gives me more space to explore novel ideas, because I don't have to burden with memory, or there is a slides which is supporting my memory. So actually I am free in the class. So the literature teachers, if they are freer, then there is spontaneity of teaching that happens a lot, spontaneity of interpretations. It supports in a much better way rather than it curtails that.
Sir,
Yeah, that's time it always happens, sir, that while learning that someone night dream, that the drama we can say that going on before our eyes. Okay,
Hmm.
so that time I feel that no, I am a bottom in that character. So that's why I'm asking that question, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes. So even when we look at literature, we have poetry, we have novel, we have play. Now we have to keep in mind that plays are never written to be read. Plays are always for performance and to be seen only. When we read play, we are killing the play. Plays are never written for reading. This is the wrong way. So that is the point, that when you literature is a loss of visual. Poetry may not be visual, but play is visual. Narratives are visuals. So cinema is visual. Cinema is literature. So pictures are visuals. Paintings are visual. It is literature. So that's how. So if we play is always to be performed, it is very good, but everybody cannot perform it. So seeing a performance of a play, I say seeing again, is very very important when it comes to plays. Yeah.
sir, we have
Hello, sir.
question.
Sir, will I put a question, please? Sir,
Ha-
sir, you told that plays are to be performed, plays are to be enacted. But do you not think that when we read a play also, everything gets enacted there in our mind's eye? Suppose the heroine is in trouble, they're in the jungle, and we feel, where has the hero gone? Will I go and take help the heroine? I feel that even when we read a play, things get enacted in the mind. What do you say, sir? Please.
Yeah, yeah, of course, you can do that also, but we have to see that our play is written to be read or performed. That is first question.
Of course,
Because
it is to be
literature is
enacted on the.
not.
Yes.
It is yeah, primary. Then if I read, then perhaps it can help me in imagining a play also. But what is the prime purpose? Are dramatists writing plays to be read by anybody or to be performed? Our answer will be it is for the performance first. Later
Yes.
on, the book is published. Most of the great dramatists, their books are not published before performances. They are always performed first, and then the books of those things are
Yes, sir.
published, and
Yes.
then it becomes a part of syllabus. And then our education of literature governs our mind in such a way that we think that from the angle of education only, for a part of syllabus we have to read and this another thing. Imagine, are we going to read the scripts of the cinema? If
No.
I read the script of films, obviously it will help my imagination. That will it serve the purpose of cinema?
No.
The
No, sir.
genre is made for something. That genre. What is the purpose of that genre? That is very important. That way, poetry is fine, is to be read and recited. Better it is recited, there is better meanings. If I only silent listening, sorry, silent reading of a poem will not serve a purpose. There is musicality of words with that, and so a better reciter of a poem gives meaning to that poetry also. So there is again auditory sense into poetry also. So without auditory or visual, literature is incomplete, perhaps. Yeah.
Sir, again, this is a Hamlet type question. in a sea of troubles. Sir, sir, one thing, if a literary piece is generated by, you can say, machine, then who is going to be the writer, number one? And if there is absence of writer, then we cannot, you can say, criticize or appreciate it without writer. That can be a kind of new criticism kind of thing. Number two, and this what will happen to the psychoanalytic criticism or the post-colonial criticism, or you can say Freudian criticism, or this the cultural criticism even, or you can say cultural materialism, right? So there is just text, there is no author, and there we cannot find the author too. So in such a case, how can we interpret that piece?
Yeah. So the very important point is that we have to look for new poetics for generative literature.
Yeah.
The poetics, that is the literary theories of the human literature, will obviously not work with the machine literature. We have to look for new poetics. And time and again, we have always found new definitions of literature, new critical theories to read literature, a new way, new theories. Well, post-coloniality was not there in 18th century. It was not there in 1920s and 30s. Also, when those people are writing, it came later on. So when we will have a new literature, we will have a new grammar of literature also. We will have new poetics also. And these are the new challenges for us also. We have to be ready to have the new way of defining literature, new way of reading literature, and identifying new theories of literatures also.
So there may be a critic who may be absent, like that poet or like that
Yeah.
writer.
Perhaps we may think of an algorithm where it will also generate the criticism also.
Yeah.
When you will go to this website, poetgenerator.com, .co.org, and where you will find that they will also give a brief review also. And when you will read, while doing that activity, and it says that, wow, this is an excellent poem, it says, even the review automatically comes. And it picks up a key word. Like if you're given a poem on morning, the auto-generated criticism will say that, well, your way of looking at morning is amazing. These are automatic responses that machine is giving. Now, I compare that with exactly if you will see the chat box here. Now, this chat is done by human beings. But if you'll see, this human chat is almost mechanical like machines.
Yes,
The
sir,
same
but
kind of word, the same kind of thing. It is awesome. It is good. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. If you will study the chat box of 10 webinars, you will find as if machines are doing this. It is not human being. Human beings will do things in a different way. But this chat will say it is machine. It is mechanical. So the part of ourself is mechanical also. But we don't know who programmed us. When we were growing, the language, the religion, the society, the culture, how are we programmed? So when we look at generative literature, when we look at the literature generated by machines, actually we are questioning not the machines, but human beings, how we are mechanical. Was I given a choice whether I want to have this religion or that religion? Was I given a choice whether I want to have this language or that language? Language was just the very first software which was installed in me without my choice. And that language as a software has made me a machine, had made me a robot of, I will say, I am proud I am a Hindu, I am a proud I am an Indian, I am a proud I am a Gujarati. This is a mechanical process. When I ask, what about are you proud of? What have you done as a Hindu or as a Gujarati or a Hindustani or a human being? What have you done? Well, I don't know. I am a robot. I am programmed to say Bharat Mata ki Jai. So I will say that. So these are very interesting questions. That are we not a robot made into robots by a kind of discourse and languages? That is where this will lead us into looking at the humans in a better way. Yeah, Tanvir was raising a hand. Yeah.
Yeah, I have also one question. So that
Yeah.
because you have raised more confusions. Yeah, please, Tanvir sir, you can.
Audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So actually, it was a continuation of a question asked by a user. So I just wanted to put that in also. We have Danish Malik. He says, will the so-called poem generators adhere to the doctrines of poetry laid down by the poets like Wordsworth, Coleridge, because they have laid down such principles, keeping in mind the fact that they are to be performed in human mind only? So will there be any compatibility?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Well, let us go back. Now, see, when Wordsworth is writing lyrical ballads, yeah, 1798. If you will see the criticism against lyrical ballads, people did not accept Wordsworth as a poet at all. People said that these are nursery rhymes, these are not poetry. So he was not considered, and that's why he has to write preface after preface. 1798 preface, 1800 preface, 1802 preface. And in preface, he is trying to explain what is my poetry about, what experiment we are doing. He is defining poetry. Why has he to define a poem again when the Greeks have already defined poetry? It means that he was doing something new. He was challenging the very tradition of poetry, right? And then when see, even 1818, when Coleridge is writing Biographia Literaria, even in that work, Coleridge is defending Wordsworth. He said that I do not agree with the very notion of poetry which Wordsworth is speaking about, because Coleridge was a very complex poet. So he said, I don't agree with the simplicity idea, spontaneity idea, tranquility idea. He has lots of confusion in his mind. As we say, very idea of spontaneity also is paradoxical. His sentence says, spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, emotions recollected in tranquility. Now, tranquility and spontaneous are opposite of each other. They do not match with each other. So there is that is the problem with Wordsworth, which people have debated. He was not considered a good poet. He was rather, people said, nursery rhymes. Coleridge said that had the critics been true, then Wordsworth would have been forgotten into oblivion and nobody would remember him after 20 years. But after 20 years, more young people love Wordsworth. They write like Wordsworth. It means there was some worth in poet. Now, when Coleridge has to say this, it means that still Wordsworth was struggling to find a space as a poet. But today, when we argue, we say that Wordsworth has done this. He has made a canon of literature. He has opened up a new chapter of romanticism in English literature. But in his time, it was different. Today, another chapter is opening in 21st century. The chapter which is opening is about generative literature. We will have all those questions against all those kinds of things. And we can give innumerable examples. Wordsworth also, we know he was not classical. He was very popular to such an extent that, like a cheap dramatist, the royal family would not perform Shakespeare's play in the royal court. Their preferred choice would be Ben Jonson. So time and again, Hardy's novels, Thomas Hardy's novels, the religious gurus, they burned the books. And they said that the people who read Hardy's novel, they are corrupt people. Nobody should take a daughter in a marriage from those homes where Hardy is read. And he was so bitterly criticized that he stopped writing novels. He started writing poems. So this is the phase. Historically, when we see any new thing that happens, anything that is challenging the tradition, is always met with many questions. And it is good that many questions are coming. But we have to address questions historically. That has this kind of thing happened anytime in the past, and then how it keeps on happening today also there.
Honorable sir, my question is also, Miss, I'm with more confusions. Number one, I'm thinking, Miss, I have been taught by my teachers that poetry is about emotions, or drama is about feelings, and novels are about feelings. Right now, suppose I have a girlfriend and she chatting with me in a webinar or in any social media platform, and I'm not watching her. Right? She said that am you, miss you. I said that she said that that's it. So is it with this kind of poetry, this kind of poem must be like that? It's a virtual chatting. I cannot have that emotions, overflowed emotions.
Very interesting. Now that will also question that when I am with somebody, am I really with that buddy or not? I may not be. I am with somebody holding the hand of my beloved, but I may not be with that person. Somebody else may be in my mind also.
So are you saying, no, sir, honorable sir, are you saying that okay, love your virtual lover?
Well, that is the no. So when people question that in a real classroom, in the virtual classroom dynamics, I can give an example with that also. People say that when students are learning online, they may go on Facebook, they may go on WhatsApp, they may see websites, they will not concentrate. Well, I say when they are sitting without mobile phone in the classroom, do you have a guarantee that they are listening to you? No, they may be anywhere. They may be just looking at you, but they may be somewhere outside the classroom. So our mind is something like that, that it flies away at variety of places. So if somebody is speaking, what our language philosophy tells us, that we use language to curtain our emotions and feelings, not to express emotions and feelings. When I have more things to hide, I use more words. When I have more emotions and feeling, I am silent.
But Honorable
So
Sir,
this is also the way. Yeah.
we are in a lockdown period, right? So we are talking virtually, right? So shall we continue this? Will we continue this? Okay, let us meet virtually. Let us not go out, right? But we are eager. We are eager to close this lockdown. We are eager to meet someone, right? So why? Because we have that powerful feelings, right? When we meet someone physically, where we have that, you can say, a kind of attachment when we meet someone, right? So this virtual kind of poem, right, and virtual kind of criticism or virtual thing generated by some machine or some software, right? It may it be have or may it have some impact on human mind or human heart.
Okay, first thing, like when people say we want to meet out or go out, well, many say that no, we are happy with lockdown.
So
Many may be happy. It is not that everybody wants to meet everybody. People like me are happy because I was tired of traveling at so many places. Now I can talk with people without traveling. And I am very happy with this because lots of time was just wasted in traveling only. And now I can meet, so every day I do 2, 3 webinars. I can meet so many people in all the corners of the place. And see, I can do maximum today than I was doing before lockdown. So so that's why many people will say we want to meet. Some people will say we are happy with this also. It all depends upon the type side, personality types of the people. Some people are extrovert, some are introvert, some may love to. So that, and then again, in all this behavioral pattern also, our formative experiences. We have grown without technology, without the kind of a life that is going or shaping or coming. We have not grown with that. That's why we think in that way, that this is necessary, this is how it has to be. New people will grow with a different dynamics. New people will think in a different way, and so they may have their own way of doing that. So it is just a habit of mind rather than naturally something that is happening. I won't say it is natural. This is our conditioning into a society where we have lived up till now, which was a physical society, which was not a virtual society. So we keep on loving a physical society a lot, rather than a virtual. And virtual doesn't mean that it will be complete virtual only. It will never be physical. Even today, for example, when we meet online, even in this last lockdown of 40, 50 days, I have participated in 2 marathons: terrace marathon, in-home marathon, 5 kilometers marathon, 10 kilometers marathon. I play with my children every day. Tennis I play. I upload videos on Facebook of playing tennis outside also. So like, you work with virtual doesn't mean that you 24 hours work only with virtual. You are with real world. You are with real people. You play outside. You go outside. You do cycling. Even in lockdown also you were doing, because you need to do that physical activity. The body requires physical activity. It is a part and parcel. So virtual doesn't mean that there is no physical. It is an absence of everything. It's an amalgamation. It is an assimilation of the life is real, the life is virtual, and whatever is good that the life offers, we will grab and we will move on.
Sir, one more possibility. What will happen when the system hacked your poetry?
That is what is happening. Like,
Some hacker will come.
yeah, I have a very interesting, because many people ask these questions. Now see, when you read Hamlet, is very well-known character.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And Hamlet's character, his mind was getting hacked time and again.
Yeah, yes.
That's why he was like mad person. There is method in his mad. What is madness is melancholy. Melancholy is depression. Depression is hacking of system. So Hamlet never played with PUBG game.
Yeah,
Hamlet never used to have mobile phone. Hamlet never used to have web conferences, though he was a scholar studying in university, and yet his system was getting hacked. Then what happened with Ophelia? Ophelia's system also hacked, and she committed suicide. Well, so it is not that machine will do that. It is happening time and again. It was happening in past also. It is how mentally fit we are. and the troubles of societies and life obviously play a vital role. And with whatever we do, illness, mental illness, physical illness is a part of life. So existentialist would say that accept everything. It is a part of life. And with this or that, you can blame a device, you can blame a technology which is outside very easily. But if you see historically, you will find that people had suffered from all these illnesses even if there was no technology.
Quite amazing, sir. Quite, you can say, quite debatable topic. And this, obviously, you are always magnificent. Obviously, you are always amazing, sir. Okay, Tanvir sir, I think you have raised your hand.
Yeah, a question from YouTube user Ravita
Yes, sir.
Ta. She says we depend on technology for anything and everything. Is it affecting the creativity, thinking capability, or imagination, sir?
Obviously, everything will have its own effect on our creativity and our life, everything, anything that will be there. So, but what is important for any creative writer is that they have to live their present moment. That is very important. Now, Wordsworth lived in his own time. I can't I should not write poems only like Words because my time is different. If Wordsworth is today, he will write a poem about today. He is not going to write about yesterday. Any literature which is going to sustain the time test and everything, the very first audience of literature is today's audience. The very first events of literatures are today's events. Even if people keep on writing about Radha and Krishna and Morpich, I question to those young poets that have you seen Morpich? If Morpich is not a part of your life, why are you writing about Morpich? Why don't you write poem on mobile about mobile? Because you are with mobile, not with Morpich. Then you are just borrowing terms from other poets. Now this borrowing, this imitation is a servile imitation. It is not creativity at all. So whatever is the life that is lived today should be captured and should be, that is the very aspect of creativity. Imitating past writers and taking their metaphors is never a good literature. This literature will die away within a decade, but literature which speaks about today's metaphor, and today's metaphor obviously is digital world that we are living with that.
Sure.
And if that is not used metaphorically by the today's writer, then writers are not capturing today in a proper way. Their role is they are the historians of every day, and they have to capture today's moment, and that is their role also to do in that case. So even if that happens, they have to cope up with whatever way the creativity is supported or hampered by digital tools.
So I'll just add to this. We have Lyota, who writes postmodern condition, a report on knowledge, and there he talks about the language games. And I think this fits here that if literature has to survive in the language game, it has to become digital in 21st century.
Yeah, that's also interesting point. Yeah, that is good. Yeah.
Another question from YouTube user Rama Raju Sabapathe. What is your opinion about the place for poetry in teaching technical English, that is grammar and vocabulary related to technical English?
It is very good. Rather than poetry, still, I would say that if novel or plays are used for technical purpose, because the technical students, they want language as a tool to work in society or marketplace, to use a better word, marketplace. For them, language learning is not for aesthetic delight. For them, language is a tool which gives them jobs and then promotions in the job. They want to write better letters, they want to write better CVs, they want to make better presentations. Literary language will always help them in making their language better. But teacher will have to see that is teaching poetry or a play or a novel is helping them enriching their linguistic power or not. If it is only enriching their aesthetic sense, their literary sense, it is not going to be helpful to them in their marketplaces. So anybody who is dealing this ESP idea, specific purposes, nurses, engineers, scientists, business people, they are using language for promotion, for the jobs, for writing for that purpose, and that is to be served. We have glaring examples that even an English literature student becomes lawyer or judge also. The arguments of that lawyer is more powerful than other one who has not done BA or MA in English literature. Judges, their verdicts are amazing if they have mastered in literature. So it obviously plays a very significant role. If we study literature, it helps everywhere there. But for them, teacher's role is to tell them that, well, you have to use language, and how beautifully you enhance your language for your purpose, it will play a very vital role.
Sir, I remember Keats. He was criticized as Konkani poet, and he was criticized bluntly, right? So it may also happen that someone has written, or someone has, you can say, pasted or generated a poem, and the critical, means virtual critics, they may attack on that poetry.
Yeah, of course, it may happen. It is a part of game. It's a part of game. I'll say in the real world, kids died of tuberculosis.
Yes, sir.
And many have connected with the bitter criticism also. That because of bitter criticism, he was not accepted as a poet. The illness aggravated. Now, in a virtual world, that will not happen. Nobody will die of tuberculosis. The machines will not die of tuberculosis. The machines will not suffer from mental breakdown. If nobody will accept that, they will try out something new.
Then, sir, we have to change the syllabus and curriculum.
Of
Then
course,
we have mobile. Means I think we should go on mobile, and then get examination on mobile. Maybe.
Of course, that all is going to come. It is all there in pipeline. It is all there in pipeline. It is all going to come. That is where this post-COVID time is going to play a very significant role. Now, see what has happened. We were talking a lot about digital, but in COVID time, we have seen that digital was the only thing which has sustained us in our communication with people, in our meeting with people, in our reading, in our preparing academic work, everywhere. If anything has worked, libraries are shut down. When we were working for webinar, I prepared a resource and put it on a blog so that if the participants want to read paper, because we allowed participation reading also. So I thought that they will not have library access. They will not be able to go to their school, colleges, or to libraries. So I gave digital resources to them. So see, digital resources sustained us. And today when we prepare for our webinar, like as a presenter, for me also it is digital resources which is helping me. If there is no digital resource, I would be completely blank. For 50, as if it is like Kumbhakarna, I am awaking after 50 days. I have done nothing, but in 50 days I enriched only because of digital media, websites, blogs, YouTube, and other things. So this has proven that digital is going to sustain in coming days. Digital is going to be is also going to face a challenge. But when meteors will attack our satellites, when the meteors in the space will attack all our satellites, and all our satellite communications will be disrupted, at that time we have to think another way, that now what to do when the communication channels are not working. But we can have plan B, C, D always in our mind.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Bharat. Bold, Dr. Bharat. Wow, OMG. Mr. You have widened the imagination now. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Go down to you. Yes.
Because see, I have an international webinar coming up on 3rd June.
Oh.
So I was looking in Windy app, cyclone. So on 3rd, there is a cyclone coming in Gujarat on 3rd and 4th.
Oh.
So I am worried that what will happen to my webinar if the cyclone attacks on 3rd. It is going to attack on 3rd, 9 o'clock night. My webinar will end by 6 o'clock. So I have 3 hours. Now, say I am thinking that also. When I think of webinar, I am also seeing that our cyclones going to come. Now, what is helping me? There is an application called Windy. There is a website called Windy, which is giving you the live coverage about where the cyclones are moving around. And I am thinking, so I don't have to wait for the meteor department or this departments to declare that this will happen. I already have started plan B about my webinar. I will shift it on 2nd, or I will to postpone after 1 week. Something I have to think. But see how digital ways of looking at everything is helping us in making decisions about whatever we do. Academically we are doing, but everything, it is helping a lot.
Thank you so much. Is there any question? Yeah, Dr. Nirav Mehta.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
yes, you are.
First of all, let me begin by thanking Dr. Dilbar, sir. It's a wonderful session. Though I'm not teaching literature for past more than 10 years, but I got a very good insight from you, sir, and some of the technical aspects regarding teaching literature. My question is, as you have mentioned with the example of waiting for Godot, some of the very normal words, we look at it normal words, but from Samuel Beckett's perspective, it has some different connotation. You know, explain with Google image and some other related connotations. So my question is, when we have to teach literature, suppose tomorrow I have to deal with literature, I'll find it very difficult in the context of some words that are related to students. How should I teach them? I mean, how can I have the literary insight? Can you talk about, sir? Talk about it, sir.
Now, see, when we talk about a word like literary insight or how will we teach, first thing, like we imitate some models of how our teachers
Yes.
were doing, or
Yes.
when we are trained in some refresher course or training programs,
Yes.
or like this program interaction
Yes.
might give an
Yes.
idea that let me ask Google image, or in
Yes.
that way we do. But at the same
Yes.
time, our experience is very important. Our
Okay.
experience of teaching. The more we teach, the more we keep on experimenting in our classroom. We enrich
Okay.
ourselves.
Okay.
If I keep on doing the same thing every year without doing any new thing, then I have
Okay.
1 year's experience 20 times. But it is not
Yes, sir.
20 years experience. It is only 1
Yes,
year
sir.
experience, but 20 times. But every
Yes,
year,
sir.
if I keep on exploring new things, I come
Yes,
across,
sir.
then I keep on enriching myself in different ways.
Okay.
So experience plays a very vital role in teaching. Apart from that, our training, our observation, our participation in seminars, webinars also keeps on giving us ideas. And whenever an opportunity comes, we are ready to use those ideas in real life situations.
And one more, sir. When we are teaching to, I mean, I am teaching to management students. We have to deal with the play like All My Sons by the authors and all that. So, I mean, I look at that way. I mean, making mockery of this literary piece of work because they are simply interested in summary. I should say that way, because they have to write simply answers. So, in that case, as a faculty of English, especially in this ELT purpose, if I say that, how can we do something innovative for them?
See, one very interesting idea for play is that pieces of some interesting aspect can be given to students to read.
Yes.
A kind of a performance. That is one thing. So they can be interested. If you find a very good film based on that, or a dramatic performance that
Yes.
you brought,
Yes.
I have seen that students are not interested in dramatic performance. It becomes very
Yes.
dull.
Yes.
And to
Yes. Yes.
motivate them to do that is a very tough task.
Yes, sir.
So we give lots of activity. If teacher gives activities that watch this, watch that,
Yes.
if you
Yes.
watch a film or a play along with students, do
Yes.
lots of poses in the classroom, pose
Yes.
and
Yes.
discuss
Yes.
the scene.
Yes, sir.
Then
Yes, sir.
slowly and steadily, students will get interested into that. One of the ways of cultivating interest of students in a literature classroom is obviously to bring lots of visual material. Related one, not exactly about that, but something that is related. Like when we are dealing with in popular literature paper, when we deal with Chetan Bhagat's One Night at the Call Center. At the same time, we also bring Ian Martel's life of Pi. Because the
sorry to
narrative of Life of Pi and One Night at the Call Center are very similar. Now, Life of
Yes,
Pi
sir.
is considered a classic literature, whereas
Yes,
this
sir.
is a
Yes,
very
sir.
popular literature.
Yes, sir.
Life of
Yes,
Pi
sir.
has got Man Booker Prize. Chetan Bhagat perhaps will never get any of those awards with the kind of he writes.
Definitely.
It's a popular
Okay.
literature. It's popular, and so we study a part of popular. But you bring in the visuals from Life of Pi to
Yes,
deal
sir.
with another text, and then people can have lots of interest in it.
Sorry to
Obviously, for
sorry.
science students or engineering, it is very difficult to
Yes.
cultivate
Yes, sir.
interest.
Yes, sir.
So it is a tough challenge for the teachers, but it is
Yes,
not
sir.
impossible.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, one more question, sir. Sir, then Miss Google will be our Aristotle, right? And then we have to use the word and Miss put the picture and Miss let the students will see the picture, right? Then we will, I think, deconstruct the idea that there are text in plural, right? Means there may not be a text, but there are texts. So we have to follow Google or Google Image, right? And when we follow Google Image, then that would be, you can say, a kind of autonomous or monotonous interpretation. Means you are using a picture. For example, you use that picture of the plant. Then you are saying that, okay, this is the plant, and what the writer wants to suggest this, right? So there may be, you can say, we may not be liberated, or we may not have that freedom to interpret that poem or that particular piece of work in different way.
No, like for example, what is the different way? If that also is explored in the class, it is good. If there is a willow, weeping willow, what else do you read? When we show image or when we see that, we are trying to reach to the remoteness that was there. When I was seeing a weeping willow, I was not able to actually see what is in the mind of Beckett. It was nearly impossible to see why Beckett has used the word weeping willow or a bush. What was it? Is it only for a bush or a tree, or there was any other? What are the possible interpretations? All possible interpretations can be put down on the board. They can ask students that, what do you think? We can write everything, and then we can say that maybe this also is the interpretation. Maybe this, and then we can to support our argument, we have to visualize our argument to support. Because if I argue that, well, I think this, but then I have to support that what I think is based in some evidence or not. I cannot just not have this air balloons flying in the name of interpretation. Interpretation doesn't mean that whatever I think is right. Reader response theory is not everybody's reading is a correct reading. It should be based in the study of language. It should be based in the study of culture, religion. A very deep study is necessary. Now, people don't have a deep study and they say, I think it is this. Now, that is not interpretation at all. Yeah, I think I'm making a point. So how do we, an ignorant person's interpretation and a knowledgeable person's interpretation, is there any difference or not? And that is very important, because anybody who says that I think it is this, we have to ask another question. Why do you think like that? What is your purpose for that? What is your evidence for that? Are you connecting this text with another text? Are you connecting this with the another? So in that case, you have to show and display either other text or other image, because A, B, C also is nothing but image. If tree is an image, A also is an image. Written word is nothing but images. That's why in Plato's Academy, written words were not allowed. Only spoken words were allowed, because they thought that writing also is a technology and it corrupts the real knowledge. So writing was secondary, as we know. In Plato's Academy or in Gurukul system also, there was more of oral shruti rather than writing anything. So that is very important. But writing as a part of technology, which was resisted in Plato's Academy, is accepted today. Then came printing machines. Printing book was resisted earlier. Today, somebody is printing book and we accept it without technology. But there was a time where people resisted to this idea also. Second point, that Aristotle said something. Now, today, perhaps for me, Aristotle is nothing but a robot only. Because I don't know Aristotle now. Aristotle is dead. His ideas are like stuck in time. So if Aristotle is alive today, perhaps he will rewrite poetics, keeping in mind what is happening on digital platforms. Because he was watching what is happening in theaters of those days. He is writing about the popular theaters of his days. He observed what is happening in the theater and then he wrote poetics. So if Aristotle is today here, he will watch Netflix, he will watch Amazon Prime videos, he will go to cinema theaters, and he will say that literature is this. What are you doing in the classrooms? You say don't watch Netflix, you say don't watch film, read. This is not literature. Literature of today is Netflix, web series. Aristotle will do that and he will define literature in different way. So what Aristotle is in our mind is almost robotic or mechanical Aristotle in the mind, is a dead poetics, which is stuck in our mind. We have to think, if Aristotle is today, what will he do? I gave this example earlier in another discussion that many Gandhians are anti-technology. They think that Gandhi was anti-technology. But they forget that even Charkha was a technology.
Yes,
And if Gandhi is alive today, he would be on Twitter. He would have YouTube channel. He would be on Facebook. He was a man of communication. He wanted to reach out to people, so he was writing postcards. And he never resisted the postcard system that was British system. He resisted the cloths of British, but never the postal system, because he knew that this postal system will take my message to the masses. So if he gets a better alternative of tweeting, he will not write postcards. The Gandhians would be writing postcards today, but Gandhi won't do that because he was progressive of his time. So this is how we have to see the past in present context also. And then we can think of what they might think or do, given if they are living in our times.
Yeah, sir. It can extend the horizons of our interpretation. I mean, it can be one.
Yeah.
Am I right? Am I right,
Yeah.
sir?
Yes, it obviously
right?
expands our horizon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Okay.
It was a huge. It is almost 6 o'clock. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It was very interesting.
Sir,
Good question.
but it was very discussive topic. So it was very amazing topic and
very good. It was 4 to 5, but it is extended until 6 o'clock. Good. Enjoyed. Yeah, enjoyed a lot.
I also enjoyed. So I respectfully I request my principal. Would you like to question, sir, Vijay Mangukia, sir? Would you like to? Because you are, I know that you are student. Dr. Bharat. Okay, you can please.
Yes.
No, sir. Student has first right, sir.
Yes.
No, actually, see, I don't have any question to ask, sir, but I want to share my experience of studying under him. Actually, I have pursued my MA MPhil under his guidance, and he has always been a source of motivation for me since I entered the department in 2008. I have seen him using technology in teaching literature. I have a first-hand experience of studying literature taught by him using technology. See, one of the participants asked questions that whether the technology will replace the teachers or not. But I always believe that, and even Dilip sir also tells, and he also gives his views that see, technology is not going to replace the teachers, but technologies will work as a supplement to the teachers, and teachers, if they can use technology in the best possible way, definitely he will be able to teach literature very effectively. So technology will be a kind of a supportive material for the teachers. And I have the first-hand experience of studying literature under him only. So I know him better than perhaps anyone else today in this particular webinar. And sir, and I wanted to see him. I have been listening his webinars since the lockdown started, and since he has also been giving his expert talks in each and every webinars, I always remain present and participate actively. But I don't want to ask any question to him, but I because I have the first-hand experience of studying literature under him. And sir, Jaswant sir and me, both of us are working in a PG center together as a PG teacher. And before this webinar also, we talked a lot about this, and I was very eager to see you and listen to you. And thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Even I have waited for Godot. Sir knows it well. So I waited a lot for sir, because sir's schedule was very tight, right? So I requested him, re-requested, and at last, thank you, sir. Right. So I would like to request Dr. Parmar to thank Dr. Bharat. Sir, you can unmute your audio. Your audio is not working. Yeah, yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yes. Professor Dilip Barad, Department of English, MK University, Bhavnagar. My webinar coordinator, Jaswant Rathod, and all the participants. What a wonderful session today. What an interesting and interactive session. Both our speaker and our webinar coordinator and also the participant like Tanvir Ahmed and others raised so many questions, and you answered very, very cleverly and interestingly, sir. Thank you very much. what a wonderful. I enjoy a lot. I am not a student of English literature, even though I enjoy your lecture. And you told and covered all the points, even life of Pi, Gandhiji, and all the technical digital tools which are helpful to us for teaching in even language also. You have also mentioned the novel, plays, and poetry, how to teach in the classroom. Sir, thank you very much from behalf of my college and behalf of my webinar coordinator. I thank you very much, and even I enjoy. Thank you, and we will be you again with us, so you can highlight the other points of the how to teach English language. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Sir, thank you very much. I also thank Professor Tanveer Ahmed from Jammu and Kashmir. Sir, this is the connection via
Yes,
Miss
yeah.
Nitrang via Bhavnagar to JK, right? And also Surat, right? So thank you Deepali ji, thank you Pratik ji, thank you Bhavna Bendre, thank you Deepal, thank you Ansuya, thank you Parmar Saab, thank you Nirav Mehta. So we'll close this meeting. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.